Are we live? Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to Crescent Coast in the Kitchen. We are hosting here live from the Crescent Coast area of South Carolina. It's that area, that's from about Georgetown all the way up to the North Carolina line. It includes everything from Pawleys Island, Murrells Inlet, Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, up to Little River. We're so glad that you are joining us tonight. This is our December edition. We come to you once a month, and it is our gift to our family and friends and neighbors to just bring a little bit of the South to you, bring some hospitality to you, just a little fun for an hour. And even if we have yet to meet you, even if you're in another state, we count you as a friend, because here in the South, there are no strangers. There are only friends we have yet to meet. So again, welcome. So we are the Crescent Coast Real Estate Experts. I am Lane, and this is April, and this is Megan. Tonight we'll each be sharing with you one of our holiday Christmas favorites. We will also have a surprise guest. It is Paul Stecker of Caliber Home Loans. He is a super lender that helps us with many transactions. And our topic of conversation tonight will be the different kinds of parks and golf courses that are in this area. We're more than just sandy beaches and a Ferris wheel. So just to give you an idea of what's coming, there's some Italian heritage in my family, and we enjoy doing the 7 seafoods Christmas Eve. So tonight I'll be sharing with you how to make cioppino. That's a 7 seafood stew. It has fish, shrimp, clams, and mussels. So that covers 4 of those seafoods for my family for that night. And then Miss Megan, what are you going to be sharing with us tonight?
I'm making an Italian-inspired salad. So just some romaine with some croutons, banana peppers and onions and all the fun stuff.
It is scrumptious. I and my husband can account for that. She's made it for us, and now my husband was requesting it every week. I had to get the recipe from this lady. Okay, so Miss April, what are you sharing with us tonight?
I'm going to be making my grandma's red velvet cake recipe with her ermine icing.
Yeah, that is some deep South for you right there, people. And people, when people leave your home after a dinner, they always remember what they had for dessert, even if they don't remember the meal. Dessert's very important. Okay, ladies, well, I'm going to just start this cioppino, and they can, go maybe drink a little glass of wine or something.
We gotta get you some. You want some more Chardonnay?
Yeah, not quite. Oh, and you know what? We have decided to give away one of our lovely aprons. April, you want to grab one of those, and even the calendar? So any of you that want one of our 2021 calendars that also have measurements on the back, just in the chat, in the comments, just give us your address and we'll send you a calendar. And then if you would like to be entered for a drawing to win one of our very high quality, very cute aprons, please share us. Please share us on your page so that other people might be able to find us too. And just let us know in the comments. Give us your address and your contact information so we can tell you if you want and ship it to you. Yeah. So Merry Christmas. So yeah. So all right then, we'll get started. All right then. So I am learning how to cook on an electric stove. I've always had gas, but the electric's actually been working pretty well. It's not bad. So we're just going to start with some olive oil, because any self-respecting Italian recipe always begins with olive oil. The base recipe I'm using tonight, I don't generally use recipes, but if we're going to do a live cooking show, there's got to be a recipe. So I'm using Giada De Laurentiis's recipe. Thank you, Giada. But there'll be some departures from it just because I'm not Giada. So, which is a shame. I would love to be Giada. She's beautiful and intelligent and an amazing cook. So I've just put in about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and I'll put a link to the recipe in the comments after this show. And 1 large onion. Now I will say in the recipe it calls for shallots too, and it is my own personal opinion that shallots and onions taste the same. But shallots are more expensive and they're little, and it's 1 more ingredient for me to buy at the store. So that's just, maybe I'm unsophisticated, but I don't bother with shallots. And also, one thing that this recipe is really good with is a bulb of fennel, just to chop it up. Fennel isn't a real common ingredient, but it adds just a little bit of anise flavor, and that's really nice. Some recipes will have you put in a splash of something called Pernod, which is a liqueur that's anise flavored, but that's a little strong in my view.
Amen.
So yeah, we have an amen over there off camera. Yeah, neither April nor I like Pernod in it. It's just a little bit too strong. So we're gonna just like saute this onion up and let it get soft. And we're gonna go ahead and add our salt. So there's 2 teaspoons of salt. So we've got 1 large onion and 2 teaspoons of salt so far. And we'll just simmer this up. And we're not there, we will add garlic, but we're not adding garlic yet because garlic burns easily. Okay, so there we go. So we promised you guys that we would talk about some of the parks around here, and I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to Myrtle Beach State Park. Myrtle Beach State Park is just right on the southern edge of what we call Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach is actually a city that's 23 square miles. Like people think, oh, Myrtle Beach, that's the sand and the Ferris wheel, but it is a city that it has coastline. And then the Myrtle Beach State Park is right there on the furthest most southern part of Myrtle Beach, right there on the coastline.
Right between Surfside and Myrtle Beach, right there on the coast.
Yeah, you can go in that park and you can actually just park. You can hike and walk around, but you can actually go to the beach from there.
Yeah.
And it's really nice because it's not crowded on that part.
Yeah, I've taken my dogs over there and walked around, and it's pretty wild back there. You can see a lot of wildlife. It's pretty fun, but you do want to watch out for wildlife. Yeah,
Especially with dogs.
Yeah, especially with dogs. But we had a good time. It was fun.
What do they want to do? They want to chase the squirrels?
They wanted. Well, I mean, there could be some alligators here and there.
Oh yeah, well we do have that.
But they wanted to get in the mucky water.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know about snakes, but they had a great time. So you just gotta watch them. But there's a lot to do back there. There's even some great benches and really big Adirondack chairs over there for lots of photos opportunities. So it's a great spot for sure.
Yeah, it's a nice way to be outside, and there's a lot of trees. Like you might not really think about trees in the beach, but we have what's called maritime forest, and there's a lot of live oaks and some other species too. There's actually quite a lot of foliage in the maritime forest.
Yeah,
so
for sure. And you feel like you're in a different world almost. You don't feel like you're near the beach at all when you're back there. It's just so many trees, and it feels like you're in the wild. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend experiencing it.
Yeah. So the onions are getting a little softer now, and so and I put in the salt. And you really do want to put your salt in with your onions because that helps them soften. It helps them release the water and soften. But now that this is the onions are getting translucent, I just have to watch this heat. Like I said, I'm learning the electric stove. I've had it for a couple months. You wouldn't still think I'd be learning it, but I don't know.
Well, it's totally different than gas, but
Yeah.
I think both have their advantages.
So I've done about 4 large garlic cloves. Thank you. Yeah, no. And I just chopped them up. I mean, you can buy it pre-chopped too. You can make your life easy.
I do.
Yeah.
I always watch these cooking shows, and they say, "Oh, I've never used the pre-chopped
Minced.
giant container from Costco," but it's in my fridge.
Yeah, I use it too.
I love it.
But my goodness, why not? Why not make your life
If you make a fancy dinner, I would cut it up. But for regular weeknight dinners, I don't want to smell like garlic.
I use garlic all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I get real garlicky fingers. You inevitably get garlicky fingers.
Yeah. All right. So, when I'm cooking for my family at home, like I don't even look at a recipe, but I'm looking at one tonight for you guys. So let me see. So we're gonna add the red pepper flakes, and then we'll add like the rest of the ingredients. So you do want to measure your red pepper flakes. This is a teaspoon and a half because they can be hot. Like it kind of doesn't matter exactly how much onion you use. It kind of doesn't matter exactly how much garlic you use. It kind of does matter how much red pepper flakes you use because you don't want to set your mouth on fire when you're eating this.
tiny bit of heat.
Unless you like it.
Unless you like it. If you like it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Increase it to your taste. If you have kids at home, you kind of have to be a little more conservative. They tend to have little tender little mouths. So, and by sauteing the, of course the garlic, you're releasing the flavor, but it's the same with the red pepper flakes, you're releasing the flavor. Okay. So we'll just add the tomatoes. So just a couple of 14 ounce can of the chopped tomatoes. And then about a half a can of the tomato paste, and I just realized I didn't get a spoon out. I know in the recipe she's got the exact tablespoons, but you know, half a can works. Yeah. There we go. We'll stir that around and get that all blended.
Looks good already.
Yeah, it does look good.
Throw in some
Smells
pasta,
good.
call it done.
I know, I was gonna say, I've got some pasta. And now there's another state park called Huntington Beach State Park, and that is down in Murrells Inlet area, so that's south of Myrtle Beach. You know, like we talked about in our last show, there's all these different areas of Myrtle Beach, and Huntington Beach State Park is further south than Myrtle Beach State Park. And again, you can enter the park and you can actually go to the beach from that park.
And one really great thing about Huntington is that Adelaide Festival every year. It's a great festival. It's fun. It's I absolutely love going. I don't think they had it this year, right?
Because of COVID, they didn't have it. All right, I'm going to say this word for you because those of you who are listening and are not from here, you have no idea what we're saying. Atalaya.
Atalaya.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So Atalaya was a getaway for actually a multimillionaire family in New York, and she is a world famous artist, and she did a lot of her artwork there. And the ruins of their home that they had are there. But you know, you think, oh, people who are wealthy, well, they're going to have something luxurious and fancy. It's going to be like Biltmore Estate, but that's not what they had. They had a very rustic residence, and so it's just really, it almost looks like castle ruins. But it's a fascinating piece of history, and it's part of the state park now, and really neat to visit. Like even if you're just here, you know, for a long weekend or something, we would recommend checking out Atalaya in that state park. All right, let me see what it wants me to do again. Like I said, I wouldn't be paying any attention if I were at home, or just cooking for my family. All right, and then, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a half a bottle of white wine. The recipe says 1.5 cups, but a bottle of wine is 3 cups, so it's just half a bottle. Just eyeball it. It just, you know, it's not rocket science.
You can eyeball the whole thing in there.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, according to taste, let's do the rest of the bottle. Yeah. Well, the problem is you cook the alcohol out of it, though. Now I want to drink it.
It makes a nice flavor, though.
It makes a real nice flavor. And then, so the way so fish stock, and people like fish stock, you know, you can buy clam juice at the grocery store, and sometimes you can find that fish stock where the chicken stock is. But I just like my free fish stock, and the way it's free is I buy the shrimp with the shells on, which is cheaper anyway. And then I peel the shrimp, and then I simmer the shells, and strain the shells out, and that's how I make.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's like
Never thought about it.
it's free. Tons of flavor, absolutely free. So it's 5 cups of the fish stock. It was half a bottle of wine. We put our seasonings in there before. And then we have a couple of, and the recipe calls for 1 bay leaf, but I've never understood that. Like, if you're gonna have the flavor, let's have some flavor. So at least 2. So if I'm cooking for my family, I might do 3 or 4. But you know, it's like, you know.
I do the same thing with butter.
Yeah, right? It's like, this is the South, so it's like what you gotta do.
I looked up the Adelaide Festival, the Arts and Crafts Festival, and it's usually in September, the end of September, but they did cancel this year, so look out for it next September. It's just an arts and crafts festival you go through. I mean, there's tons of vendors set up. It's where you can get some unique items for Christmas or that kind of thing. It's really fun.
Yeah.
I've been to it a couple times, and I always find one-of-a-kind items there that you can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, so you're supporting the local economy, you're getting unique items, and you're outdoors, and it's, you know, family friendly.
September's a good time of the year too
It's
to be
perfect
outside.
weather.
Oh yeah. Hey, the locals, September, October are our favorite times at the beach. So anyway, well, this is gonna simmer for a half hour. And so you're gonna make our salad for us?
Yeah, make
Okay.
a salad. Almost over.
Yep. It's heavy, be
Oh, sorry,
careful.
that was loud.
So we just have to shift the ingredients over.
What do you need me to move for you? This stuff over here?
Alright.
That already smells really good.
It does smell good.
Let's get some big old crusty bread. Just dip it right in there, Lane.
Oh, we've got it. It's just off camera.
Really does smell so good.
Alright, so this salad is super easy, and I even make my own dressing. Wow. Usually you buy the bottle dressing, but it's super easy to make, so I'm okay with not buying the bottle, even though it's a little bit easier. But so obviously start off with some greens, whichever greens you like. I just stuck with the romaine, basic romaine, but you could do the spring mix or whatever you like.
I think it is.
Thank you. Alright. And then I added some cherry tomatoes. I cut those little things in half. Just pour those in there. And then I have some sliced olives. Alright, and then I have some sliced pepperoncinis. Do you have
love those.
4?
Yes.
Super good.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yep.
I already want to kick my fork and get in there.
Super good. Then I have some sliced white onion. Don't go too crazy, but alright. And then some shaved Parmesan. Always need the cheese.
Oh yeah.
Italians love the
That's
cheese.
how it's with the cheese. It's got a nice bite and that umami that really.
Yeah, I like the shaved in the salad. I mean, you could do shredded, or I wouldn't really. I don't know about grated. I feel like you kind of get like mushy with the dressing, you know.
Yeah.
But the shaved Parmesan's really good. And then of course the croutons. Texas toast, can't go wrong with
Can't
that.
go wrong with that.
Texas toast. Don't be shy with the croutons.
Everybody loves croutons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with those. Alright, and then for the dressing, super easy. So you need a half a cup of olive oil. And then 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. So just gonna press that in there. And then I measured it out already, but it literally all it calls for is a tablespoon, or a teaspoon, my bad, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of dried oregano, dried basil, and then half a teaspoon of salt. So super easy. Just pour that in here.
Hello to Holly and hello to Portia and hello to hello to Morgan and hello to Tammy.
Spin or fork? Spin. Know what the seasoning's in there.
Yeah.
Yes, daughter does rock.
Then you just mix it together and pour it in there. But I'm not going to pour it in there now since we're going to eat this after. I don't want the salad to get soggy.
Hello, Sherry.
But then you just pour that bad boy in there and then you toss the salad and you have a super easy and yummy salad.
Yum.
All right, so David wants to know where Dean is. That's my husband. Dean is off camera talking to the other husbands.
Are we too loud?
No.
All right, Dean. Morgan says Dean needs to make an appearance. Are you willing to say hello?
Oh, now he has to.
Now he has to.
He got called out live.
I know you got called out live. So this is that's the camera right there.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is,
I'm looking at the
I
computer.
know. We're novices, sorry. This is my husband, Dean. He is my support system. He's the one that helps me make your real estate dreams come true.
Hello, world. These ladies are wonderful realtors, Crescent Coast real estate experts. They're the best.
Thanks, baby.
Bye. Bye, Morgan.
That's great. That salad is gorgeous.
That's good.
It's funny how much difference a homemade dressing will make. I mean, it is easy to pick up that bottle at the store.
But
And
this was super easy because I got like intimidated because I'm going to make a salad, homemade dressing. And I was like, I don't know how hard it's going to be. And then I Googled it and it's really not.
And I
Yeah.
Googled it.
And it's super good though, and then everybody loves it.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know, we were talking about on a budget too, whether you really care about that or not. It's a lot less expensive.
Oh yeah, super easy. And most of the time you have the ingredients already home. Like I always have olive oil and garlic powder and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, we have time. April, you want to get started on my cake?
Sure. I gotta move some things around.
That's all right. All right, so I think the mixer is bigger than April.
Yes.
So,
But I'm strong so I can handle it. All right.
well, April does that CrossFit. I don't know if you guys know, we all have kind of our own things. I do yoga and April does
I
CrossFit.
can't see.
So-
There we go. Got it.
You got it?
Okay. Your mixer is huge.
Yeah.
It literally is taller than me.
I know, we might need you.
No,
You want a
it's fine.
stool?
No, no.
We're figuring this out.
All right. I'm going to just put all this stuff over here.
And so this sauce is just, it's so fragrant, it smells so good, and it's just,
It does smell
sim-
good.
yeah, it's just simmering together. All the flavors are melding, and the sauce cooks down a little bit, like as the water cooks out of the wine, and the alcohol cooks out of the wine too.
All
So,
that stuff.
like for some of you, like a half a bottle of wine, I don't want to like be eating my seafood with a bowl full of wine. But all the alcohol cooks out of it, and a lot of the water does, and it just kind of condenses, and it's just a flavor note in the background. And the same thing could be said for the fish broth, or you know, for me, the shrimp broth. More water cooks out of it, and just leaves the flavor behind.
Okay. All right. So a little bit of background about this red velvet cake. Is my parents watching? I can't. Yeah, my mom's watching.
Okay.
My mom said short people problems. I don't know if my dad's watching or not. They might be watching together, but
Hi, Debbie.
I'm getting a seafood facial over here.
I know you have to
Fish
stop
sauce.
yet. I was like, we're learning, so I'm gonna move it
No,
over.
it's fine. So my grandma always made the very best red velvet cake, and it had an ermine. I don't really know how to pronounce it correctly. I never heard her say the word. I learned after the fact that that's what it's called. But it wasn't a cream cheese frosting, and it wasn't your regular just butter, whipped up frosting with sugar. It was something different. And her red velvet cakes, I'll try not to get choked up, were always so good. And she's since passed away. And so for Thanksgiving, I wanted to make this for my dad. And so I tried my best. And I think it turned out pretty good. And so I'm going to make it for y'all because we plan on, carrying on that legacy of this red velvet cake because it's special to our family for sure. So I'm going to show y'all how to make it. We'll post the recipe online so you can see it. But I was always intimidated because I always, my grandma was a great cook, but it really isn't too bad. If I can do it, you can definitely do it because I am no baker. And I managed to make it edible. My dad said it was good. I think he would tell me if it was not good, but we all thought it was pretty good. It's one of those things that gets better too as it sits. Like the icing starts to kind of get into the cake and makes it more moist. And when you cut it, and I'm sure there are bakers watching this right now that know a lot more about baking than I do. But one good tip is once you cut it, if you have it in some sort of cake platter, if it has like a dome over it or something like that. I have a clear glass one at home that has a dome over it. Once you cut that cake, put a little cup of like water in there, and then cover it, and that'll help the cake stay moist where you cut it. That way it won't dry out around the edges because no one ever wants the dry edge around the cake.
Oh, that's a great tip. I've never even heard that before. I'm so using that.
Donnie actually told me that. But yeah, it kept
That's
our
her beloved.
cake moist for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go ahead and get started here. There are only 7 steps to this cake. So like I said, it's not rocket science. First thing I'm going to do is cream together a whole stick. Sorry, it's the holidays. We said that last time too, remember? We're milking this holiday thing.
Yeah.
A whole stick of butter at room temperature. Okay, so it's a 1/2 cup butter. And then 1 1/2 cups of sugar in the mixer. Got my sugar here somewhere.
Is this the
No,
sugar?
this is right here.
Okay.
I haven't measured out. So we're just gonna dump all that into the mixer.
Hi, Cindy.
Uh-oh. How do you lower this again?
Oh,
This is
you gotta
Dave's
raise it
mixer.
like this.
Okay.
So she's,
There, good. There we go.
So we're at my house, so April's using my mixer, it works a little different.
Yeah. It's basically
It's
the
all
same.
good.
Same principle. Alright, so that's gonna cream together until it's light and fluffy. It'll take just a couple minutes. Or just a minute
Should I
or so.
cook it so it doesn't time out now?
Now it takes just a little bit. It helps when the butter's at room temperature. It makes it go a little bit faster. But what I'm waiting to see is it all just to be well incorporated together, so the butter and the sugar look like one versus a bunch of butter and sugar in there together. And I would take this out so you could see it, but this is going to be a pain to pull out. So.
I know, it's like, we don't have the special cameras like
Yeah.
that, descend from the
On the
ceiling and take a look,
yeah.
you
The
know?
different angles.
Yeah, right.
But basically what this looks like is beach sand, and that's what you want. All right, so the next thing is we're gonna add 2 eggs. We're gonna add them one at a time. I'm just gonna keep it kind of on low stirring. And you just wanna, and these are room temperature as well. These are also room
Did
temperature.
you get Sheldon?
Yeah.
See, we're just home cooks,
Yeah.
that's all. Nothing Hollywood here, it's just like everyday
Shell
real.
adds flavor.
I'm gonna have to get April a stool because we can't see her face.
Oh, sorry. I'll go over here. All right, so we got 1 egg in there. I think I got all the shell out. And then you just want to make sure that's good and incorporated before you add the second egg.
So like, could you do this by hand if you don't like hand mixer if you don't have, or is it kind of?
I think you could, but it'd be better if you had a like a hand electric mixer.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be a lot of mixing. Okay. It's going to be a lot of mixing.
There you go. There we go. Now we can see her.
I need a head camera so y'all can see that too.
The GoPro.
I'm not.
Oh yeah.
Put the GoPro on your head.
Yeah, we'll develop this as time goes on. We'll have GoPros.
I'm not gonna leave that running this time, so the eggs don't. Before the paddle hit it and disintegrated it in my hand. I think I got it all out. If someone gets a crunchy piece, you win.
That's okay. It's just a little extra calcium.
Yeah.
It's like a vitamin.
Yeah.
And yes, Tammy, it's wonderful to see you again. Some of us, we have these friends that are watching that we've known for years, and we've been separated because people just moved. They moved to different states, or So yes, it's wonderful to see you again.
All right. So now it looks more like, what would you say its consistency is like, Lane?
It's like cream butter.
Yeah. It's I'm not really sure. I want to tell
It's
them what
okay.
it looks like, but
Well, it's making its way toward batter, cake batter.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe wet sand. How about that? It's wet sand.
It's kind of creamy.
Yeah. So we got those 2 eggs in there. Now we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of cocoa and 1 bottle of red food coloring. Now, I like my red velvet cake not quite so bright red. I like it a little bit more dark red. I think it just looks richer. So I don't always add the entire bottle of food coloring. But I have 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder in here.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that red velvet cake has cocoa in it, but that helps make it darker to start with, kind of makes your flour dark. And then you have the dark base instead of the white base. So.
Right. People don't realize it has a little chocolate in there.
Yeah, it's got just a little chocolate. That's part of that unique flavor.
So all I'm doing is I'm just mixing this up really well together. And it'll take just a second for it to come together. But once it does, it's a paste. So you want to mix it until it becomes a paste.
I'm wondering if we can move this out of the way. They can kind of see that on the camera.
And this is the cocoa powder. It's just, in case y'all aren't, I'm sure most people are familiar with it, but it comes like a powder. It's not like melted chocolate or anything like that.
It's not melted chocolate, and it's not the Nestle quick chocolate milk. It's like, and you can have a box of the dark, that dark brown Hershey's box too. But what she means is it's not sweetened and it's just cocoa powder.
Right. All right, so this is a little bit
There
liquidy,
you go.
but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, kind of tilt it forward.
So it's a little bit liquidy. Sometimes I do it and it's a paste. I must add a little bit extra food coloring, but it'll be fine. So we're just gonna toss it in while this is stirring. I'm gonna mix it first.
Yeah.
I don't want this to end up all over me.
Right.
Alright, so I'm just gonna toss this in here and then I'm gonna quick turn this on so it mixes.
Do you want a little spatula?
I think it's alright. I think I got most of it in there.
Okay.
Alright, and we just let that do its job a little bit. And it's gonna turn a beautiful dark red color. Alright, so next up, while that's mixing, we're gonna take 1 teaspoon salt, 2 teaspoons vanilla extract, and then 1 cup of buttermilk. I think I'll know that. And we're gonna mix that all together. So I have the salt right here. So we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. And that looks pretty well incorporated to me. Do you have that spoon that I just had?
Oh, yes, right there.
I just want to scrape this a little bit. It's always good when you're doing this just to scrape the side of the bowl occasionally. And then let it mix again for a second to make sure you got it all incorporated. When you're pouring the cake into the pan, you don't want to catch some unmixed things on the way out of the mixing bowl. Alright, so we're going to do 2 teaspoons of vanilla.
And for baking, it is important to measure. Like cooking, yeah, I can take that bottle of wine and just eyeball it.
Right.
You can't eyeball baking. It's got to be measured.
And use pure vanilla extract. Don't use the artificially flavored. It makes a big difference too.
Yeah, different.
All right, and then we're gonna do 1 cup of buttermilk. Where's my buttermilk? Oh, right here. All right.
That might be hot, babe.
Okay. Like, yeah, a little bit. All right. We'll do it right there. You have a cup.
Yep.
I'm actually going to put. Now that's really well incorporated. That's fine.
Yeah, we just had chicken.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna add 1 cup of buttermilk. Buttermilk is so thick. I do not like it.
But it's great in
Ordinarily.
cake.
It's great in baking. And I add just a splash more, because buttermilk is so thick. So it's a cup plus a splash. Because otherwise the batter is really, really thick. So I'm gonna grab that spoon again. Put the bowl over here. This is the same spoon I had before, it doesn't matter, it's all going in the same spot. I'm just gonna mix this up slightly. This is the salt, the 2 teaspoons, I think it's 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and then the 1 cup plus a splash of buttermilk. That goes into this mixture simultaneously while you're adding 2 1/4 cup of cake flour, which is different than regular flour. So be sure you pick up the cake flour. It's just extra fine. It's been sifted extra, and something about the starch in it or something
It has
like
less
that.
gluten.
That's it, less
It has
gluten.
less
Thank
gluten.
you. I was wondering what. I couldn't think of that word.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna add a little bit of the buttermilk mixture, and then a little bit of the flour mixture, over and over until everything is well incorporated. Just be sure you don't drop any of the flour mixture off the side of the bowl. Just want to keep your measurements consistent. I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. Just keep mixing until it's all incorporated well. And then once you're finished with that, incorporating all of that, all you have to do is pull that out of the mixing bowl, and you're gonna mix together 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda with 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. It's just just plain white distilled vinegar that you get at the store. Put that in with 1 tablespoon of this and 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, and it'll sizzle a little bit. And then you hand stir that into the batter. Okay, so mix all that together. And then, do you butter and flour your sheets?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Do you think I need to go over it? You think most people know how to?
I think most people know how to do that.
So to butter and flour, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. You just butter the entire thing and then put some flour in and then knock the pan around so that the entire pan is covered with flour as well. That ensures your cake will completely fall out. You're not stuck beating it to death and trying to get the cake out and it
Trying
falls
to dig
apart
it
on
out,
you.
right.
So once all that is mixed and your pan is buttered, you put that in the pan, 350 degrees. You have to watch it, okay? Because if your cake batter is a little bit runny, it's going to take a little bit longer. If it's a little bit thicker, it's going to take a little bit less time. It just depends on how it turned out. It won't affect the taste very much. It just will affect what the cake feels like, the consistency and the texture of the cake. But the taste won't be affected very much. But you do want to check. Like the first time I made it, it was a little thicker. Today when I made it, it was a little bit, I added a little bit extra buttermilk and it was a lot smoother and it cooked a little bit slower. So that is what you put that in there. And then when it pulls out of the oven and you've got a cake that looks like this, you go around it with a knife, you turn it upside down with all hope it pops out. And then we'll talk about the icing in just a little bit. All right?
Yeah, I can't wait. See, one thing that's really great about doing this show is like when we're done, we do all sit down and we eat it. It's really good. So, yeah.
What you gotta do? Oh, you need to move some stuff?
Yeah, I think I can put it right here and I think people will see it.
Okay.
Let me see. If they will see it.
You can hold it up and show it before you get to
Yeah.
there.
And
I'm done.
okay, we'll give April just a minute to finish that up. I mean, this is just like, this is real life.
All right.
Like, this is all about you being with us in our kitchen, because when we entertain, this is what we do. My friends that have been here can attest, like, April and Megan and I are really close, and so we can cook together in the kitchen. Usually I don't have people with me in my kitchen. And April and Megan love to cook too, and we'll have guests over, and our guests are with us and talking to us as we're cooking and we're doing the mixer or whatever. So we're not editing all this out, we're not trying to slice and dice it so things like that don't happen. We want it to be really real. So now for the cioppino. So the broth has simmered down, and so now we add the mussels. I just went to 7 Seas Seafood, which is down in Murrells Inlet. So if any of you live here or when you visit here, 7 Seas is really wonderful. They have such great high quality, super fresh seafood right off the boat. And these are mussels. I'm going to put these in. So it's about 1 pound of mussels. And they have really great service there too. They're so friendly. And then here's some just little neck clams. And we're just gonna let those simmer for a few minutes, and because it'll take them a little bit longer to cook than the fish and the shrimp that we're gonna add. And if there are any of the shellfish that by the end of it don't open, throw those out. That means they're not good, because as they cook, they'll pop open. Now I will say, so you just need a fish for this, just something kind of firm, and I like a white fish, but you could do salmon, which is not a white fish, but that texture works. Halibut works. When I went to 7 Seas and I told them what I was making and I described the fish I wanted, they had trigger, just tons of trigger fish. They caught a lot of triggerfish that was fresh off the boat and had a lot of it. It was a good price, and so that's what I got. And so you just cut it into 2-inch pieces and you just set it in there. Like, it's really easy. Once you put the sauce together and it simmers down for about a half hour, you just add your seafood, let it cook for a few minutes until it's done, and your dinner is done. It is just that easy. It's a great way to feed a crowd. Very, very healthy, very, very flavorful. One thing I wanted to mention as I'm putting this in here is the Waccamaw National Wildlife Preserve. That is actually kind of throughout this Grand Strand area. We have not only do we have the coast, but we have intercoastal waterways and the Waccamaw River. And there's areas within that set aside by the national park. Now I'm putting in the shrimp that I peeled, and I simmered the shells to make my broth. But so now I'm just putting in the peeled shrimp. But they are preserves for bird watching, fishing, boating, hiking, and that's not just on the coast. That's, like I said, along the intercoastal waterways and along the river areas. So there really is a lot in this area to explore and do. Hey Paul, come tell us about mortgage. Come tell us a little bit, just some real basics. Just a minute. I'm putting the shrimp in here and letting it.
It smells amazing, by the way.
So there's the camera. Look at
Okay.
that, and then this is the middle. So so this is middle, and that's the camera. Talk to that. So tell us. So what's going on with mortgages right now? Are they really 2.5%?
Are they really 2.5%? It depends, is the honest answer to that. I've locked people in this week between 2.25% and 4.25%.
Really?
And that is the truth. There's many factors. People say, "Oh, I just went online, I found the rate, and why am I not getting 2.25% or 2.5%?" And there's many reasons for that. I can explain, in each individual situation. But at the end of the day, rates are extremely low. My background is by the way, I'm Paul Stecker with Caliber Home Loans. I'm the sales manager here locally in Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, and live in Surfside. I live right down the street, actually, here in the south end of town. But thanks for having me. I appreciate it. You have 3 great ladies here. And
Talk to them.
on the
I gotta
team.
help her with
Sure. Again, it smells amazing. So, and that looks really good. So regarding as far as rates are concerned, we are at 30, 40, 50-year lows right now. So it is a good time to refinance, purchase. It's really just quite amazing what we're seeing. We're talking about rates that, again, now people see different rates and they're like, wait, I thought it was better, I thought it was worse, whatever, maybe. It's amazing. I've talked to financial advisors that bought in the 80s, and they were at 18 to 19% for a mortgage. So it's all relative. I can tell you the government is definitely keeping it in a place right now, especially what's going on with COVID and everything like that. They're truly trying to make it accommodative for the buyers out there, and we're seeing that here locally, aren't we? I mean, I'm seeing buyers from all over the country, California, Washington, Oregon. Those seem to be new this year, or newer, seeing more of it. And this market is really we are in a very good market real estate wise, as far as it seems like we can't find our buyers' homes in many situations, unfortunately.
Well, what's happening is so many people are moving here, and a lot of people that have been renting, I have everything from first-time home buyers, because now with the interest rate so low, it's very easier for them to get into a home. And then we have people moving here from different areas of the country. It's also a really great time to change residences if your lifestyle has changed. Maybe your kids are, people actually raise families here, and so their kids will grow and go away, or whatever. But Paul, tell us, what are 3 things, if people are thinking about getting a mortgage and they want to know, how can I get the lowest rate possible? What's 3 things that someone could do?
That's excellent. Excellent question. I would say, in general, you want to make sure you're obviously you know where your credit score is. That's a lot of people I see these days. They think their credit's one place, and it's not. Both sides. I see people have great credit scores. Like, I'm not so sure. I'm like, you have the best credit you can pretty much have. So obviously, credit score is very important. And there's many different ways. I could send some different information on that.
Well, yeah, but what's 2 ways that people can improve their credit score?
Okay. Number 1, I believe the credit bureaus say 33% of your credit score is what they call debt usage. So many times a misconception is, well, I don't really use my credit card, or I only have one credit card and I pay it off as much as I can, or whatever it may be. You want to keep your debt usage at 33% or less, preferably at 0, but 33% or less.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? That means if you have 2 credit cards that are $5,000 a piece, or the $10,000 limit, you want to keep your balance, your overall balance at $3,333 or less per month.
Okay.
That's to have an ideal credit score. You want to have it below that. So many,
zero's
for
okay.
example, zero's great. Zero's great. But the more the better, in my opinion, as far as limit. I personally have, I would probably say, $40,000 in outstanding. If I wanted to go tomorrow and run around and buy all kinds of stuff, I certainly could. But the banks trust me to not do that. That's why they give me the credit cards in the first place. And that's a major part. Is the credit bureaus are saying, well, you have the limit, you have $10,000, but you only are charging $1,000 a month and paying it off every month. That shows the banks and the creditors that you are responsible with your credit. Does that make sense?
That is brilliant. I think a lot of people would not have that concept.
Yeah. No, I see people. I only have I have one car with a $500 limit. Well, or let's just use a $1,000 limit. That means every month you can only use $333, or else you look bad. Ideally or less, or you look bad otherwise, right? So it's actually to your, and I'm not advocating.
Oh, I can do it.
Going in the oven?
Yep.
Now, what if someone has only used cash and they don't even have a credit card?
Okay. That's a good question. So I would recommend, and that depends. Do they have an auto loan? Do they have a mortgage? So there's obviously many types of credit. I would personally recommend, and the bureau, if you don't have any credit at all, it is much tougher to get a mortgage, because the banks and the credit bureaus don't know how to look at you. They don't know whether to say that you are a good credit risk or a bad credit risk. They just don't know. And we have certain programs at Caliber, and many other banks do as well, called non-traditional credit. And again, there's many programs and products, whether you're FHA, VA, conventional.
And that could be another show, the different kinds of mortgage. So what kind of Paul's getting at is like you need, like, because I actually have had a couple of veterans, military veterans, and they didn't have a credit card, they didn't have a mortgage, they didn't have an auto loan. They had bought their car cash. However, they were living with family and they hadn't had a credit card. Well, they actually had to get a credit card and develop some kind of use of that credit so that the bank will know. It's all about behavior. It's interesting.
Yeah,
We
it
think
is.
it's money, it's about behavior.
Yeah, they're trying to, the credit bureau, and I'll be quite honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of credit bureaus in general, because quite frankly, I see stuff that I'm like, this doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and I've been doing this for 7+ years now on the mortgage side alone. My background's in wealth management, and I see that, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this person seems like their score should be higher, right, based on what I kind of know. So, that aside, you do see certain things, and they tell you kind of what to look at, but credit behavior is an excellent, you want to prove that you are a good credit risk. And how do you do that? One way is to pay your bills on time. You have a car loan, don't miss payments. You have a mortgage, definitely don't miss payments. And if you have credit cards, which you should, pay them off as much as you can, as quickly as possible. And I'm not even telling you to have a balance. I am telling you to use your cards and pay them off. So that's, as a financial advisor, me and the mortgage bro, that's what I would recommend. But that shows on a monthly basis that you can handle your responsibilities. You're paying back your debts on properly, and that increases the score, especially when you keep that debt usage down, specifically on what they call revolving debt, which is the credit cards, home equity lines in many instances, things of that nature. And it's also, they say, it's good to have a mix. So it's good to have a car loan that you're paying $200 every month on, and it's good to have the revolving credit cards as well. That all kinds of plays into it.
Right. So that's an installment loan and a revolving credit. Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate it. And we're just going to
Thanks
finish
for having
up
me.
here.
I look forward to eating this because it smells delicious.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
And nice to meet everybody.
Yeah, it's
and
good company.
thanks so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
And if you have any questions for Paul, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll get your questions answered. And then, and don't forget to share us and give us your contact information so that we can put you in the drawing for the apron. There has been a question: is this a wok or just a big pan? It's just a big pan. It's not a wok. It's an all-clad. It's an anodized aluminum, and I cook so much in this. This has so much street cred. I was cooking. I got this when I lived in St. Louis, Missouri, and it's been a while. Let me see. That was like 6 years ago, and then so this is probably 15 years old, and I have used it probably every week for 15 years. It's been a phenomenal investment. Cooked for my kids in it when they were still home. Yeah. All right. So now.
Definitely holds a lot.
It holds a lot. You saw what all I put in there, and it's so great for something like this that you want to reduce. So I think I'm
About done.
Yeah, it is. And so I'm going to turn that heat off,
Okay.
And then I'm going to show people. So like, you know, the clams, if you can see that.
Burn.
Yeah, no, the clams are open, the mussels are open. And like I said, if any of them are tight shut, you throw those away because it means they're not good. And then the fish is opaque, and the shrimp is opaque. And then I might just grab a spoon to show you the consistency of the sauce. Like it's soupy, it's a stew, it's not, yeah, so this is, it's just soupy. Yeah, so you just put it in like big bowls and eat it as a soup. If you wanted to, you could put it over pasta, but you don't have to. Anyway, so that's it, that is the cioppino. Oh, we said we were gonna talk about golf courses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, well, Paul knows about golf courses, Dean knows about golf courses. Yeah, well, Paul and Dean, come here a second. No, he don't want to do that. So you can join us for this. So I know there's the Myrtle Wood that's up, so we have so many public courses here, so Dunes is private, but people that love it, semi-private.
Yeah.
And so, but there's so many public courses, like there's Myrtle Wood.
I'll say 80 plus public courses here.
Oh, so that many.
There's that many.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even name them all.
Yeah.
It would take about an
It's
hour.
the golf
to name them all,
capital
I
of the
think.
world.
It is the golf
It's the golf capital of the world.
Depending on where you look from, a lot of golfers know certain names down here. So if you ever go to golf.com or anything like that to look up the top 100 golf courses, you're going to see the Dunes Club is actually one. You're going to see Caledonia and True Blue, which are
Yeah,
sister courses.
yeah, they're down in Polly's Island.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And if you're a local, so if you want to move down here and you don't live here right now,
Yeah.
I belong, there's different local deals. That's one where you can get on for much cheaper than my friends from New York, New Jersey who come down here and they're playing the prime time. So
Yeah.
it's, that is an amazing course. One of my favorite, which is actually a private course, so I have to ask my friends to get on there, is Waukesha Plantation. That's in Merle's.
Oh, that's really unique.
So that's private, but that is a fantastic one. There are just so many names.
International Club in
I love
Merle's.
playing International Club. I just played there last week, actually.
Yeah, and then,
My daughter.
okay, and then, yeah, so there's so much here, like if you're a golfer
How's
or.
Wild Wing Temptation? Is it good?
Wow, I've actually never played Wild Wing
Yeah, I've heard
Plantation.
it's
Now, I've
good.
heard good things about that. Speaking of, what's
South
right there at
Carolina
Myrtle
course.
Beach? The North Course, Kings North. That one is a
didn't know
public
about
course.
that one.
Kings North is another one. I believe they're 18 holes. Each hole is named after like or is modeled after a hole that was like played by like on tour, like
Oh, wow,
Pebble
okay.
Beach and
Yeah.
things of that nature. So that's and that one is also one that's pricier typically during the hot times of the year.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing. So the best times for golf down here weather-wise typically is in the spring, somewhere between the end of March and May. And then October is like the golden time in Myrtle Beach for golf. It's the priciest time to get on the golf course for that very reason. Typically during a non-COVID year, you have
Yeah.
a lot of people coming down from the Northeast just to play in the perfect kind of temperature, and typically the golf courses are in perfect shape
Yeah.
around that time. I will tell you, for me as a man, playing in like mid-July to mid-August is not the most fun. That's when we have like our CCF golf tournament. We
But
do it, but woo, it's
Yeah, but I
sweaty
will
down here.
say, my
It is hot.
husband,
It
my
is hot.
husband loves the heat. His favorite time to play golf is July, so that's a personal
Yeah, that's a
preference.
personal preference, not for me.
It is, yeah.
I bring like 2 towels. Like, I have it in my bag at all times.
Hey, April, are you gonna frost that cake for us?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
all
Alright.
frosting
Thank
it
you,
down.
Paul.
No problem.
It's so great to have a golfer that's willing to come talk. My
I don't know if I
husband
call
loves
myself a golfer, but
that.
I enjoy playing.
Yeah. So Miss April, she has made that amazing red velvet cake, and it's so neat. Like it has just those different ingredients. Like it's not. I put buttermilk in biscuits. You know, normally you don't put buttermilk in a cake. And then the vinegar, like you would never know. That really activates that baking soda though. So she's gonna make that frosting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now what we're doing, if I can figure this out, is same thing we did before to start the cake. We are just creaming together 1 cup of butter, room temperature butter, with 1 cup of sugar. So again, we're just gonna let that come together. After that, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of vanilla.
And this is called ermine frosting. I wonder if it's like after that, there's like an ermine fur coat, like it's supposed to be, is it kind of velvety or something?
Yeah.
So maybe that's where it got its name.
I tried to figure out where it got its name from.
We don't wear fur coats down here, it's too hot,
Yeah.
regardless of even what's politically correct, it's just too warm.
Alright, so after this, earlier today I made, so this is called a boiled, also called a boiled flour or boiled icing. So what I did earlier was I took 5 tablespoons of that cake flour in a pot over medium heat.
Good.
Good.
Now
So,
it is, yeah.
earlier today, I don't know if y'all heard me or not, so I'll say it again. I took 5 tablespoons of that same cake flour from earlier, and I put it in a pot over medium heat with a cup of whole milk, and I whisked it. I brought it to a boil, and I whisked it until it got to almost like the same consistency as my cake. Don't know if you can see that or not. And then I just let it cool completely. Okay, so this is where the base is for that icing. This is where it gets its name from, boiled flour icing. So this is mixed together. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add this mixture to this mixture and just beat it until it gets creamy. And that's all there is to it. It's really not hard.
That's so neat. I've baked a lot. Rose Levi Barenbaum's Cake Bible, like that, it's falling apart. And it's got to have so much street cred. I've got like chocolate stains all over it. I have never made an icing that had the flour in it. So this to me, it bespeaks just a really old tradition, something that's kind of before our more modern recipes. And you know, those of you who have red velvet cake, I'm not sure if they do red velvet cake outside the South April. Do you know? Hey, Megan?
It's getting big. It's not done yet.
Megan, do they do red velvet cake up in New Jersey? She's from New Jersey originally. She hasn't been there in a long time. She moved away in high school. But do they do red velvet cake? Yeah. Okay, I didn't know.
So what kind of icing do y'all use?
I think cheese. Okay, I think cheese.
Yeah.
Really buttercream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I've never had this kind of icing.
I'm excited. Yeah.
A lot of people are definitely all about the cream cheese when it comes to red velvet.
Yeah, I've always heard cream cheese.
And so just try it, see if you like it. I think once you try it, you will like it a lot more than the cream cheese. Alright, so this takes a little while to come together, so we're just gonna let it finish up. Try not to splatter all over the Lane's kitchen. And then we're gonna be ready to frost.
That's okay.
the
We
cake.
have the cleanup crew.
Yeah, right.
The fellas who are like male bonding off camera. They're supposed to be watching the comments, but they're having too good of a time, so.
They're waiting for the food to be done, so
They're waiting for the food to be done.
So I'm just gonna scrape the sides some, just make sure I get all that mixture down there. And the good thing about this buttercream icing is it holds up, or this ermine frost buttercream frosting is that it holds up without being put in the fridge. I happen to like it cold myself, but a lot of people will just leave it on the counter for a couple days, and it's totally fine. It doesn't get soft, and that was part of it. They needed it to hold up in the hot south, so they made a frosting that would hold up with the flour.
Right, and we've had refrigerators, like modern day refrigerators since the 50s. We didn't have that. So this was her, great grandmother's recipe. She's in 1910 in the South, trying to keep her cake. She doesn't. Trying to keep that frosting from melting and the cake layers from sliding apart. So that's brilliant. I bet that's exactly what it is, April. That's why you have to have that flour.
Yeah. All right, I think we're at a decent consistency. Frost our cake.
Well, we've got 2 more minutes of showtime.
Okay.
So I think that's just enough time to do some
Maybe frost
frosting.
the cake, yeah. I don't know if I'll get the whole thing frosted, but that's okay. All right. I'm just gonna leave the paddle.
Yeah.
Okay, so one other little trick that I want to share with you is frost your cake on some parchment paper on top of your cake plate. Y'all may already know this trick. And then when you're finished frosting it, you're going to cut around with a sharp knife the parchment paper, and then you can peel that off and you're left with a clean plate underneath. So my frosting,
Ooh, it's not done. It's not
no,
even
no,
close.
no, no. Oh
It's
yeah,
not even close. You
it's
just
too
leave it
fluid.
alone. It's
So
like a half hour away.
This is the consistency. So we're just gonna start frosting this bad boy. If we run out of time, it's okay. Did we want to talk about any other golf courses while I'm
Next, oh yeah. Well, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about the state parks because we had mentioned the Huntington Beach State Park and the Myrtle Beach State Park, and then the Waccamaw National Wildlife Refuge. I wanted to also mention Brook Green Garden, and that actually is a botanical garden here, and it is just a treasure trove of native plant species as well as original art. Some of that original art done by those original builders of Atalaya. That woman is, I don't remember her name right now, but she was an internationally renowned artist, and a lot of that artwork in Brook Green Garden is hers. And right now we have Night of 1,000 Candles, and you can, it's stunning. You just, you go in and you park and you walk through these very extensive botanical gardens. So have you been recently?
Well, maybe like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's really pretty. They put they light up all the candles, and it's obviously, and then they have like a lot of lights too through all like the bushes and the trees. Different colored lights, really pretty. It's a cute little date night, if you want to do something different, or just going out to dinner, going to a movie. I mean, I know pre-COVID time, but dinner and movies, something really cute to go do. Even with kids, they have a lot of cute little, like they have hot chocolate you could get, and a little restaurant you get food and just stroll around. It's really nice.
Sounds wonderful.
It's really pretty.
Thank you so much for joining us for the December edition of Crescent Coast in the Kitchen. Just reach out to us anytime, and I'll take a look in the comments, see who shared us, and you can just tell us that you shared us, and we'll just put you in that drawing for an apron. We'll send that to you, and we're going to see you in January, and you'll see the announcement go out, and we'll have another surprise guest that night as well. So anyway, have a great night. Have a wonderful holiday.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Yeah.